No, yeah, see, I'm trying to drink water, like you said right here, and I can't. Mom, you
That's so
lied to me.
weird. That's so weird. Why can I and you can't? I
I
must
can
be
do it too.
special. Oh, she can too.
What
Hmm.
the hell? You guys are glitches. What the hell?
You're the glitch.
You're the glitch. Y'all are
You
freaking
are
working.
glitch. Witchy, you are glitch.
Hmm.
Ha ha. Well, I got to
I don't
cancel my
have it
action then.
in my heart bar. I've put it in my inventory,
Oh.
and I get it from there.
Oh, see then? She's cheating.
I do it from both.
Try it from your
You're
inventory.
weird. No, I got up and fed my character and had her drink. She's good now.
Just a quick reminder, this content is for entertainment purposes only, and opinions expressed by us are personal. Anyways, that's out of the way. Do you guys remember the movie Us?
Yes. Oh my god, that movie was
Yeah,
freaky. Made you question a lot of things.
Hmm.
for real. Like, this is one of those movies that has, like, a really good twist at the end that you don't see coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so for those people that maybe don't know, or, I don't know, because this is a really popular movie too.
I mean, it was popular, but also didn't get that many traction, which is sad.
So it says Us is a 2019 psychological horror film. It was written and directed by Jordan Peele, and it's about a lady who goes with her husband, her son, and her daughter. Her name's Adelaide Wilson, and she returns to her beachfront home where she grew up as a child. Haunted by a traumatic experience from the past, Adelaide grows increasingly concerned that something bad is going to happen. Her worst fears soon become a reality when four masked strangers descend upon the house, forcing the Wilsons into a fight for survival. When the masks come off, the family is horrified to learn that each attacker takes the appearance of one of them. So this isn't a review or anything of the movie. I just wanted to set up the tone for this because in the movie, and again, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. I mean, it's been out for several years now. But in the movie, their attackers are them. It's they look like them, but just they can't speak, or they try to speak. One of the woman that looks like Adelaide, she tries to speak, and anyways, it turns out in the movie that I don't remember exactly if it explains it or not, because I don't think it does, but supposedly, like, there's these tunnels all over, right, the country, and we each have like a double, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like, we each have a double. But down there, like, they're living almost, I mean, they're like rats, right? There's no sun,
Yeah.
and they don't speak. They can't speak. I don't know why. They're kind of like mimicking everything that we do up here on the surface. But in the movie, when Adelaide was a little girl, she found it, right? Like, she found the entrance to it.
By accident, yeah. It's explained later on that she literally disappeared for like an hour.
Yeah. And in the hour, her double ended up taking her place. And so her double went up to the ground and took her place. And the real Adelaide, the one from the surface, got stuck down there. So all this time, in the movie, that was the twist, right? That we thought, oh my God, it wasn't even the real Adelaide. The real Adelaide was the one trying to attack them because she wanted to set things straight. And so earlier when we were talking about our topic, like when we were deciding on topics, and for today, was the Vanishing People, that's the first thing that came to my mind. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because there are so many theories out there, right? And we're talking about people vanish, like people and large groups of people. There's people missing all the time that are never found.
Hmm.
And so I remember when I saw this movie, that was one of the theories that started like floating around, but I've known that because I mean I've heard people say, oh, there's tunnels under the country, and that's how trafficking happens and stuff. And I know that there are tunnels. Why? Because every truck driver that has worked in the US will tell you they always have a story, right? Of weird places that they've delivered.
Hmm.
And I know for a fact, coming from a trucking family, a trucking background, that all of us have made deliveries to the underground tunnels. So that does happen. I think your dad, I don't know if you guys remember one time when he even took like a video when he was under there. Do you guys remember
Yeah,
that?
I remember that.
I
It
did.
was
It
so
was so
creepy.
freaky.
Yeah. So that does exist. But of course, in the back of my mind, I want to think, it's for what, I don't know. Like there was one person that said like, oh yeah, in Wisconsin they do that for the cheese or what. I don't know. Again, I'm ignorant when it comes to that, but like they had like a reason, like, oh, this is why they're under there, or why they have this, tunnel underground. But I don't know because I don't know enough. But I do think that these deliveries have been made around the country in tunnels underground. Again, ask any trucker and they will tell you. So one of my theories is that that's where all the vanishing people that are never found, I think that's what happens to them. I think that's one theory that I definitely do believe. Especially, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember in New York this year that they found like they found a cave and tunnels under, I want to say was it a Jewish temple or something like that?
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard this. What?
Yeah, like let me see if I can look it up really quick. Yeah, and that just happened this year. That just happened this year. And no one has really said anything else about that. I haven't heard anything else. And I remember the conspiracy theorists were going crazy about this. Yeah, see, AP News. This happened in January. This happened just in January of this year. Illegal synagogue tunnel in New York City destabilized other buildings. Like I just Googled tunnels found in New York, a temple, and this is the stuff that comes up. Secret tunnel discovered beneath New York synagogue. And so it was huge because people were like, whoa, because they found cribs. They found a lot of like children's toys, children's bedding down there. There was beds. So, and I haven't heard anything else about that. It was like big news at the time, and like you said, Richie, you didn't even hear about it. So like it was just like a blip, and then everybody has like kind of moved on, because of
Yeah.
this crazy ass year.
That's
But
crazy. Totally
yeah,
forgot.
so that is one of my theories. I feel like, yeah, I think maybe not exactly like the movie Us, because in that one, there was a scary factor to it, right? Because it was like our doppelgangers and they would do everything that we do. How they were connected, I mean, I don't know.
Well,
But
I
I
remember
don't,
because like you said, Adeline, the one who was trapped underground, like she found out that again the government made it as a secret experiment to see if they could control the people without them knowing. Like they literally call themselves the tethered because like the ones underground will mimic everything the ones that did above, and they wanted to see like I guess like how like if they could if they did certain things to the ones below would affect the ones above. But eventually, like at some point, they said they gave up on the experiment and they just left them alone. Like they just abandoned them pretty much.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of, I mean, there was that movie that came out not too long ago, with Jamie Foxx as well. What is it called? Tyrone got cloned, or let me look
Yeah.
it up.
They cloned Tyrone or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They cloned Tyrone,
Oh, I remember
something
that
like that.
one.
And it's kind of the same, right? It's kind of the same. Like, oh, it's clones, and they're down there, and they have so
Yeah.
I totally do subscribe to that. I did think that there's a whole tunnel system under the entire country, and that's where a lot of the people that vanish go unwillingly, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary though. That's so that this is why I've always said, right? When we talk about scary movies, and I can watch ghost ones, I can watch like that doesn't scare me. What the scary movies that scare me are the ones like Saw, Hostel. Like those, because it's like it's humans hurting other humans, and we know that that's reality.
Yeah.
Hostel for me, I mean, that was one movie. We talk about, oh, I would let you guys watch a lot of movies. That was one movie that I was like, I am not, because that one freaked me out. To this day, I don't think I've ever seen it again. I think I saw it like twice,
I was
but
like, I think you saw it when I was watching them because
yeah, I've
I
seen it
was
like
at a point
twice.
where I was like, I'm an adult, I'm gonna watch this movie now.
Yeah, I said to you guys, like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, at this point, you all can watch whatever you want. But when you guys were kid, when the movie first came out, I definitely was like, and then part of me was like, yes, I should show it to them, because to show them like the danger out there, because Hostel is kind of the same, right? Like these guys going, they're partying it up in Europe, going from hostel to hostel, and they end up in this weird torturing warehouse where I mean, they were taken there unwillingly also, but where the elites, that's where they get their thrills, and they pay a lot of money to torture these people. And so it's just a horrible movie, because I was like, yeah, I can totally see this, like, this is reality,
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I watched it, and there are parts to it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch all of them because I'm a psycho that way.
No, yeah,
And
it's very uncomfortable. I remember seeing a few, and like, oh, there was this one scene where this guy, he cuts the back of the tendons of the ankles of this guy that he's torturing, and he says like if he could get up and walk towards the exit, he'll let him go. But again, because he fucking cut them, like he's in immense pain, and I was like, he falls over, and just seeing that, it reminded me of also that one scene in Wax House. Like that is, it just makes my skin crawl. Like it's just like, no, like I can't imagine. Like every time I see that, funnily enough, my own tendons tingle every time that happens. It's like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah.
my whole body cringed when you brought that scene up.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? I can see, this is what I'm saying. Like, I can see stuff like this happening in the real world. And in connection with those tunnels, I mean, because, again, people vanish, usually not for a good reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of like, I don't know if you guys have seen those videos or clips or anything like that, but I'm like, when you talk about people vanishing, I thought thin air, they would vanish.
Okay, but okay.
So, I misunderstood this assignment.
No, it's vanishing people. Like, it's all theories. It's all like, what do you really think? So that's perfect, actually.
Mm-hmm. The unknown being like trying to have explanation to it, you know?
No, but I wanted to bring up the there's actual footage of like supposed real time people vanishing in air, like you blink and they're gone.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, because there was a time where these videos were very like popular, and of course, I'm like a skeptic because I'm like, it's photoshopped or edited or whatever, But some of them are kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's some where like there's this one where it's this, I don't know if it's like a mom pushing her daughter on a swing set, and I guess the dad's recording. When the mom pushes her and the daughter goes up, you just blinks and she's gone.
Oh my god.
Oh, I've seen that.
The mom, and the mom's like, what the hell? And like they're freaking out because where did their daughter go? One that really got me though was, it's a recording from inside a school bus. And it's the bus driver, and he's driving, and the kids are being rowdy and being kids. And I don't know if like he lost control of the bus or if they were about to crash. But he tells them all to sit down, and right when they all sit down, they just disappear.
Oh my god.
And he doesn't realize it because he's trying to get the bus under control. But once the bus stops, like he like, is everybody okay? And he like looks. I don't know if you guys remember, like in buses, like they have that long mirror on the top, so that like they can look and see.
Yes, yeah.
No, yeah, I remember that, but I want to say like some of them disappeared because I think there was like 5 or less kids still there, and they're freaking out. They're like, oh my god, because like again, like some like their backpacks are still there, but like the kids are gone, and like some of them are freaking out because.
No, they're all gone.
Oh, then the one that I saw was another one then.
Yeah, because they were all gone, and he like turned around, and he was like, what the hell? Like he went from seat to seat. Like their backpacks were there, but all the kids were gone, and you see him calling 911, and you see the whole interaction when they're there, and he's telling them like he doesn't know what happened.
Oh my god.
No, yeah, and like I said, like the one that I saw, similar, like same thing too in a bus. She's driving, and again, they're all being rowdy. They go on. It shows like them going under a tunnel, and when they come out, like. Oh, almost all the kids are gone. I want to say like 5 or less are just there, and they're freaking out because their friends, their siblings, they're just gone. They're crying, they're screaming. She looks at the mirror, she sees like almost all her buses, like almost her bus is empty. She pulls over and she goes over to the kids and she's looking around. She's like, what the hell happened? They're like, they just disappeared. Again, like she calls the cops, she calls the school, she calls like anybody and says like, half my bus is gone. Yeah, I want to say, people said on the comments, like, yeah, they actually interviewed some of the kids and like they just vanished. Like they went under the tunnel And this one kid, like, I think, like, yeah, like, she lost her little sibling. Like, they were holding hands on the bus, and like, she says, like, I was holding my sibling's hand. Next thing you know, I'm not, and like, she's just crying, and it's like very heartbreaking because it's like, that's scary. Like, to not only, like, again, like, to be an adult and to see those, again, like, a parent's worst nightmare, all of a sudden your kid just vanished out of thin air, but also like to see like your friends, your family, your siblings just vanished again. Like, one of them was holding her sibling's hand and she just disappears. Like,
Where did this happen?
Most videos that I've seen, they are more from. Oh God, don't quote me on this. I think they said it was more in England that this was happening in.
Okay,
and some of it was here in the U.S., but they're, I think, maybe Florida. I think they said. I'm not.
I was gonna say, I think one I heard was in Wyoming. I tried to look it up, but most of the time that I ended up finding was just a bunch of like missing kids ones. But it's like, it's hard to tell, like, because when you try to look more into it, like, it's hard. Like, it just says like, oh yeah, they disappeared on this day around this time, and they don't say anything specifically.
Okay, but like, so what are the theories about what happens to these people? What is happening?
That's the thing too. A lot of people say like, oh, like, it's the rapture, they're taking away the innocent, and to me, it's like, if that's the case, then wouldn't all children under a certain age be disappearing within instants around the world? Because if we're talking about like, oh, like, again, like, not saying it is or isn't, but if it was really the rapture then and innocent, like, the children would be gone first then, like, all children, because like they're the most innocent. I think in my head, okay, I have one or two theories in my head. One is that they got accidentally time jumped into like a timeline where like either like a place like where their self either died or no longer exists and they're taking their place, or like something happened in the shift of the energies, whatever, and accidentally misplaced them somewhere else. Those are my only two major theories that I feel like will make more sense for me, because like a lot of this is happening and people like, again, like some people say like, oh, like if that was to ever happen, like, wouldn't they have felt something differently or felt something off? And supposedly the people who make the videos, like, they said like they have felt like something off on that day. Like, there's this one guy, like, he went on a biking trick with his friend and they had GoPros on their helmets. His friend's in front of him, he's behind, they're biking, and at some point he ends up hearing what sounds like a squawk or a squall or something, like a scream. And he turns his head to the side, he sees and hears something else, so he says like, this doesn't feel right. He looks up ahead, tries to call back his friend. All of a sudden the bike is on the floor and along with the helmet and his backpack, and he stops and he immediately starts calling out for his friend, thinking like he's playing a trick on him or something. But again, like, everyone's pointing out how he said like, he did say before he looked back in front of him that he felt like something was off. So to me, it's just like, it's either like energy misplacement, like somehow they were put somewhere else by accident than they should have been, or, you know, like, I don't know. Definitely the misplacing is what I'm leaning more towards too, because like, okay, tell me this or not. Have you guys ever felt like you all of a sudden just get like a weird sense of like whiplash? You're just standing or walking, you're not moving too fast or nothing, you don't turn too fast, and all of a sudden you just felt like you lose your balance all of a sudden, like how like, oh, like how that weird people say like, oh, like the earth moved under me for a moment.
Okay, yeah.
To me, it's like, okay, if that's the case, and it's like, okay, like if we're going along the whole theory, like, oh, like the energy placed them somewhere else, then to me it's like, then wouldn't that be how they felt? Like all of a sudden, like, whoa, like I just got placed somewhere really fast all of a sudden, don't know what happened. Because if that was the case, then wouldn't so many of these people who were taken or misplaced or whatever, wouldn't they have all come forward and be like, hey, like I was somewhere else before, why the hell am I here?
What do you think, Noodles? What is happening?
I think it's kind of like the theory of, I've brought it up before, like the back rooms. It's kind of like just time jumping. They're in the same place, it's just now they're in another timeline. We've talked about the theories of like, sort of like doors or windows being open, and you can take a peek and look into other universes. We've talked about how some of us have different memories or remember something different. But it's because we're always changing at that point. So those were just like the drastic change where they didn't swap with themselves. It's just they jumped to another timeline. Maybe one that they weren't supposed to be in before.
So I'm about to say something that is so crazy.
Oh, I'm ready for it.
But, I mean, maybe not that crazy, but okay. This just popped into my brain when Musica was talking, because I was thinking, okay, what if, now work with me here, what if there is such a thing, right, as superpowers. Because you know how in comic books, like people know of like the certain people that have superpowers, but they kind of like they show it, they boast about it, right?
Yeah.
But there's other people that don't know that they have powers. Because, like, for example, Superman, right? When he's Superman and then when he's Clark Kent, people don't know that he has powers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what if in this reality there are superpowers? We just don't know about it. Only select few, like obviously the person that has a superpower, and then only, I don't know, like the secret Men in Black agency, whatever. And so, because I was thinking, like, well, isn't that kind of what happens with Flash? Because he's so fast that he dashes in, grabs something, leaves, and it looks to us that see it in real time. It looks like it just vanished.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I get you.
So what if that's what happens to people who vanish like that and who are caught on tape? Like they vanish because it's somebody that has speed power and goes and grabs them and then just leaves. But to us, we don't catch it because it's super fast.
Oh man, and this is how I know I'm high because while you were saying
Okay.
when you
Uh-huh.
were saying that, it reminded me of this stupid movie that we had found once on Netflix, and I can't remember the damn name about it,
Oh
but because it was
God.
so stupid, where it says it's all about a kid, but apparently her older self travels back from the future to take her because she wanted a memory that she has that she doesn't remember anymore. Anyways, so she ends up telling this little girl like her whole life story of like what happens to her. Like she talks about her love life, how she like fell in love that she was studying a rock, and then she fell in love with that rock, and she studied it for years, and then she had to leave, and then she went to another world where she found this creature, and she was studying the creature, and then she fell in love with this creature. But then she had to leave, and the
Yes.
creature was very distraught about it, but she had to go anyways. And like,
God.
I can't remember the stupid name, but that's
I can't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about.
that was literally the thought that came into my head. Like, oh my god, it's all these young kids' older self coming, zapping them from the past to the future, so that
Right.
they can get memories.
Yeah.
You
It's
guys are
like,
dorks.
well, you know what? Oh my gosh. Oh God, yeah, these are stoner thoughts, you guys, but it's fine. Wait, piggybacking on that, what if that's when people vanish like that? What if that's our timeline altering? And like, what if somebody went back in time, changed something that person doesn't exist now?
Whoa, and they just caught it on camera.
Well, because I've always thought about that, right? Like when we watch movies about stuff like that, where
Hmm.
like time travel and then like, oh, you can't change nothing here because it'll change the past. I've always
Hmm.
thought like, well, how do the people experience, like for example, okay, in Back to the Future, you know, in the second part when he goes back to his timeline and it's not like everything's changed, and I've always wondered like, well, how did that timeline get changed? Like, did the people see it? I mean, obviously, right? But I mean, they don't or whatever. And everybody says, no, it's a different timeline. In my mind, I could never, like, oh, that's weird. But like, now I'm thinking about the vanishing people. What if they vanish because they just don't exist, you know, in this world? Or
Hmm.
something happened that they're not existing in this world.
Yeah, like, ooh. You know what? That could be a theory.
Holy shit. Donor thoughts.
I mean, that would kind of make a bit of sense because, like, if they didn't exist, and again, like, no, it reminds me of this movie. Oh my god, I need to look up the title for it. Let's take a try to look it up right now. Where this is this mom, like she again, like a mom, a husband, and their son, and she. You know, again, like, she's loving her family and everything. All of a sudden, like, things start to change a bit, and all of a sudden, like, her son just vanishes one day, and she's freaking out, and they start to try to look for him, but the next thing when she says, like, to her husband and to her friends, like, we need to keep looking for him, why is everyone stopping? Everyone looks at her like, what son? You guys never had a son. Like, she goes to the school, she goes to the hospital, she goes to the police for, like, to, like, show proof that of her son, but, like, there's nothing. Like, he never freaking existed, and everyone's treating her like she's going insane. And so she tries to, like, she looks more deeply into it, and she finds that she's not the only one that this happened to. Like, there's other people that's happened to. She goes and finds this one man, and she says, like, what happened? And he says, like, one day, like, his daughter just disappeared on him. Like, his wife and everyone just acted like she never existed. He couldn't understand it. And he said that then one day, his wife acted like she never knew him. And when he tries to show her proof that they know each other, like, pictures, videos, their wedding, everything, like, there's nothing. He says, like, it just, like, our lives vanished. And they're trying to figure out, like, why is this happening to them? Like, what's going on? And when she ends up trying to meet up with him again, he doesn't recognize her. He's like, who the hell are you? And she starts to freaking out because then she ends up seeing her husband again. She says, like, honey, like, oh my God, like, there's this, like, I don't know what's going on, but, like, we need to stick together so we don't forget each other. And he looks at her, he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
So she starts freaking out, and so she tries to figure out what's going on, and all of a sudden, like, she sees, like, these people that keep following her, and she doesn't know why. They end up catching her, and they said, like, okay, like, we're gonna explain things to you because we're gonna try to wipe your memory now. But, like, basically, like, something happened. I forgot what they explained how, but they had to, like, erase her son. Because it's saying, like, there's certain people that were never meant to exist, and her son was one of them. Like, she was never meant to meet her husband, they were never meant to get married, they were never meant to have kids, and they said they finally found them. They started to erase everything. She was like, why? Like, why not just let me have my family? He's like, no, we can't. We're sorry. You guys are never meant to be. But the only way they're able to erase their memories is if they are able to find the core first memory of, like, when they first met them. And so that's what they're trying to do. They try to, like, tell her, like, all the time, like, remember when you first met your son, like, when you held him and everything. And she's trying her hardest. And eventually, like, they do find it, and they get rid of her memory. So they test it on her, saying, like, what's your son's name? And she's like, what son? And they're like, okay, cool. They're about to leave. But then, like, I don't know, like, the movie explains it because, like, all the mother's love and everything, like, she ends up remembering her son. So she screams out, like, her son's name, and, like, everything goes white, and then she ends up in another, when she wakes up, like, it's her and her son. Like, she doesn't have her husband, but, like, she has her son. I need to remember that movie's name.
And that's the thing, right? Especially right now with the way that supposedly right now, like, with disclosure coming down and everything, like, it's crazy because the people that, you know, even before me, that were screaming out and saying about UFOs and aliens, and they were deemed as liars, as crazy people, they basically were gaslighted into saying, you know, the government gaslighted them and the public. And now it's like, oh, guess what? It does exist. They do, you know, this is going on. And they were like, and still a lot of people will say that they're in the conspiracy theories and everything. But this is why they labeled it conspiracy theories. So to make it sound crazy, even if it's the truth. In this case, like with the Vanishing People, how do we know? You know, we obviously, you know, a lot of people would say the realistic answer would be that, you know, the tunnels and they're getting trafficked and all that. Yes, I do think that that does happen to a lot of people that go missing. But I don't think that happens to all of them either. Hey, look, I don't know. I mean, I was joking about the whole flash thing and how it happens. I don't think that that's really, but I feel like that is a maybe 0.1% possibility.
Who's to say that that's not the aliens?
True.
Like, at the end of the day, like, all of it kind of comes together. Because I agree. I don't think that everyone who vanishes, it's the ones that are vanishing in thin air or the ones that are being taken. Because at the end of the day, I think it's more plausible for the tunnels for that to be true, for like the movie Hostel to be true. It's sad to say, but I believe that more. At the same time, I am a believer that we're not alone in this universe. So it could be alien technology. It could be advanced species. It could be even time travelers. Like, there's so many possibilities at this point on what's going on.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know, ladies. It's crazy and it's scary, you know, on the point of, you know, a lot of people go missing that are never found. There's also, you know, where they get thrown into the sea, possibly. But we're, I mean, I think I want to focus more on like when large groups of people go missing. I mean, listen, wasn't it like some of the settlers that came here somewhere up there up north, didn't like a whole colony vanish? Do
Oh,
you guys remember that?
yes. I do remember hearing about that. They actually did. You know, it's funny, there's actually very many interpretations of that in TV shows, movies. They like make fun of it, but when you actually look it up into it, it's like it was very scary. Like not only settlers, but apparently those settlers actually ran into a group of natives, and you know they're telling them like, oh, where they're thinking of going to settle, either as a permanent place or to like stay. And apparently, because like either they found one person who was actually able to like interpret to them what they're saying, or like they spoke really well towards them. I don't know. But apparently they told them like they pretty much warned them, said like don't go there. It's very bad. It's mysterious. We don't even go there. You know, don't go. And they just apparently like in some of the journals they're able to find, they thought that they were just trying to keep them off the land. And they're like, no, we're gonna go. Like we're just gonna. So one group, the first group were like, we're just gonna go there because you know like we want to settle down for a little bit and then continue on the next day. And then shit happens. The second group were now, because they're like, they were 100%, well, they felt 100% sure that, oh, it was the natives who did it. So to be like, oh, we're going to stick it to them, we're going to settle there and like take it as our own. And then crazy shit happens to them. And the whole, again, like everyone else is like, we fucking warned you. Like we don't even go there. Again, like, I think places like that, like how, like, again, like, the Bermuda Triangle, the Appalachian Mountains, the Rocky Mountains, the Yosemite Park, things like that like happen like out of nowhere, whether it's a single or whole group. I think what happened in those certain areas, either there's a very large energy shift there or a very large, I think something large settled there. Whether it's energy, a being, a rift, whatever, but something has settled there so permanently that it affects everything there, even physically. Like people have done studies around those areas with magnets, with the clocks and stuff like that. And for some reason, they don't understand why. It's like also like with the place in Stonehenge. Like they literally brought equipment out there, and for some reason, like in those certain areas, like it starts to freak out and bug out. Like so all of a sudden the time will be too far ahead, or it'll be too far behind, or it'll just stop, and nobody knows why. Like even to this day, I think they said they still do studies there to a certain point of like in the morning to like before the sun even starts to hit the low horizon, because apparently at night, especially at night, it becomes so dangerous to the point that so many people have gone crazy that they never recovered from it.
So I just looked it up, and they're called the Lost Colony of Roanoke. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Roanoke was an early English settlement on Roanoke Island, now North Carolina, that disappeared between 1587 and 1590. Founding: Sir Walter Raleigh sponsored the first settlement on Roanoke Island in 1585, but it was short-lived due to the tensions with local Native Americans. Disappearance. In 1590, Governor John White returned to the island after a supply trip to England to find the settlement deserted. The only clues left behind were the word croton, Croatoan, carved into a post, and the letters CRO on a tree. Mystery. The fate of the 112 to 121 colonists remains unknown. Theories include that they were killed by Native Americans, joined a friendly tribe, or dispersed after encountering disease or violence. The lack of concrete evidence and cryptic clues has made the mystery of the lost colony one of the most notorious in American history. Yeah, I mean, I've heard the theory of like, oh, they just died, they died because of a disease, whatever. Or it's because of the Native Americans. But to me, I mean, if they would have died, I mean, he would have still found bodies.
Yeah.
And they didn't find bodies. Same thing with the natives, I feel, because I'm sure that they went out and they looked. I think that they would have found something. If the natives really did kill them,
there would have been evidence, yeah.
Yeah, there would have been evidence. And there was, I mean, again, this is why it's a mystery, because they were never found. And then also, I mean, come on. I think if you are being attacked or if you are dying of disease, You would think that they would have enough time to write something other than that. I don't even know what that means. Like, you would think that they would have enough time to write something like famine or, I don't know, killed or something other than a cryptic message like that.
Also,
Yeah.
they have been theories about the whole chronotonin because, like, they've even, I think, like, years later now, they
Mhm.
supposedly said, like, it sounds similar to a mishmash of words of, like, 3 different tribes that actually were kind of close around that time.
Mhm.
And they say, like, oh, it kind of sounds similar to, like, be gone or a warning or, like, death. But,
Mhm.
like, no one's fully concrete on one something. But most people say, like, looking back on it now and everything, they say, like, maybe it was, like, a warning. But a warning to what, though? They weren't 100% sure.
Right.
And that, again, like, one of the settlers, again, like, not the first one in the first settlement, the second settlement, like, again, like I said, the mayor, like, he comes back because, like, he's looking for his family, he's looking for his people, because they want to know the people that come back with him with the food and everything. They're like, we want to know what happened, so we're staying here, we're not leaving until we find out what the fuck happened. But he starts to sense something, the mayor, like, he starts to sense something's wrong here. He keeps trying to convince them, like, we need to leave, we cannot stay here, something doesn't want us here.
Mhm.
But they're like, no. They were like fucking determined to stay. And like eventually, one of the settlers starts writing in a notebook over and over like chronotonin as well. And
Mhm.
they couldn't understand why. And especially because like apparently the only people who ever saw it was the mayor and 2 other people. They didn't want any of them to like read it and like be freaked out in case it was the natives. So they didn't tell anybody. And the person kept writing it was like one of the settlers who didn't see it. So they're like, what the fuck? They're like, who here told? They're like, no, we didn't tell, we swear. But again, like the person kept writing over and over again, chronotonin. And when they took away the utensils and everything, he kept screaming it out like chronotonin. Like again, like he went fucking nuts. Now yeah, I just think no, yeah, I agree. Like, if it was a struggle, a famine, or disease, whatever, like, even if there was, their bodies were scavenged, there would still be parts. Because, like, it was a huge group. Like, unless, like, scavengers were coming one after another to them apart and take it away, like, people point out, even if all their bodies were picked off, their clothes would be there. Scraps, something would be there to show, like, if they died of famine, starvation, or were killed. Like, there would be evidence of showing that. But, like, everyone said, like, they just vanished.
Yeah.
They just were gone.
So another theory on here, it says that they think that the people eventually just like assimilated with the tribes and just went and lived with them. And but again, I don't know. I mean, when this guy came, like, couldn't they have left a note that says, I don't know. I don't believe that either.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't believe that, especially since, like, the settlers and tribe people, like the natives back then, like, they weren't really on that much of good terms.
Yeah,
They would not have allowed them to assimilate, I think. They
and
had to
not that
either.
fast either.
No, yeah, not that fast. And no, yeah, I don't know. I honestly do think, especially since like there's a little bit more evidence of like something supernatural happening with the second settling group, since they were able to like write down their own findings and what was happening with them, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think like, especially for back then, I don't think all people knew how to read or write. And the ones that did were like mostly like leaders or ones who were like pastors or like people who had to be in charge, so like they had to read and write, you know? Because again,
Mhm.
like the one who probably knew how to read and write the most was the mayor, and like he just left, and he left his wife, his children, his
Mm.
settlement with very few
Yeah.
people who probably knew
Provision for, yeah.
how to write anything. And I think by then like it was too late for them.
They did. There was an episode in Charmed. I don't know if you guys remember this one. It was on the third season, and where they went to this western town that it was like abandoned, and like that, it happened where the people had vanished. They just didn't know anything about it. And I think it was Piper. I think it was Piper and Leo that they first arrived. Like, I don't know what they were doing. Like, if they were driving around and stopped in this western town, but it was abandoned. Do you guys remember
Oh,
that
I
episode?
remember that, but you got the
Yeah, I
character
do.
mixed up.
Oh, I know that. No, because eventually the ones that go back is Prue
And Cole. It
and
was
Cole.
Phoebe. She went there with her dad because he brought her there
Oh,
hoping that maybe like see if it was supernatural or not. And yeah, she was able to connect with another psychic from that time
That's
period.
right. That's right. Okay. So you know how in that and that's another that is a cool theory, I think. Because according to that episode, like that, they just vanished to like the rest of the people. But to the people in the town, it was a time loop and they kept repeating it over and over.
Hmm.
But I don't remember if they knew that they were in a time loop or they didn't. It was just a psychic. I think they
No,
didn't.
they didn't. Not even a psychic, because like later on, because again when Prue and Cole go, they asked them like, "How did you do this?" And they're like, "We didn't do it." So when she tries to describe like what's going on and everything, it was the guy like he's like, "Oh, like it's a curse." Like
Right, it was a
he
curse.
he explained that something like a great injustice that apparently like his dad explained to them one time, like a great injustice that happens that has to be corrected. Like it will trap the people there until they're able to correct it.
Mm. Okay, so imagine like what if it was something like that?
If that's the case, it has to be crappy because, like, again, like none of them knew it.
Yes.
Like, it would always reset every time. That's crappy too. That's why they had to hurry up because, like, it would reset every time the sidekick would die. Like, he
Yeah.
was publicly humiliated, shamed for no reason, and he was just killed brutally
Yeah.
and like unjustly killed. And if that is the case, then it's like, how can they fix it if none of
Yeah.
them know? It's gonna keep repeating then. That's gotta be terrible. I think that is the whole point of like people say, oh, that's limbo then. Like they're stuck in that.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point.
That is, I think that's scary because at that point it goes back to like how it's like how people will say like, how do you know if you're stuck in a loop?
We
Because
could be
like,
stuck in one too right now.
no,
We
yeah,
wouldn't know it.
yeah, they were stuck in that for like over 100 years, I believe.
Or maybe we're stuck and that's the whole point of awakening. Because it sometimes feels like that. Actually.
No, yeah, it does sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, like we maybe here on Earth, we get stuck in this limbo.
That's where the deja vu can come into play.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. Holy shit. Let me take another hit.
It's like I want to forget. Let me take another hit.
The information just keeps pouring in. I can see that.
Yeah, I just think that is a bit scary because, like, again, like it's unknown, you don't know, and at that point, it's like, how would you know? Oh, this is a time loop. How would you test that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, well, here, with us, I mean, we do have a choice. Like, we have a way, it's learning and following your spirituality and meditate. I honestly do feel that that's the way to get out, to start climbing out of this matrix and this world that, in that sense, like what you're talking about, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the same. I don't know. Hopefully, because that would be horrible. That's a horrible way to live forever. All right, ladies, thank you so much. I'm Mita,
I'm Musica.
And I'm Noodles.
and we're bluntly talking. Bye.
Bye.
See you laters. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and follow us on our other social media.